Yeah, hi. This is my final team for AFL Supercoach 2020. So first off, we've got Jack Cresp. Yep, he's been my side basically the whole time throughout pre-season. Why? Because he's in the best Collingwood's best player, and he's going to be playing the midfield as well. So I thought, midfielders generally generate on average more points. So I thought it'd be a good idea. He had a great season last year, and I reckon he could maybe even improve this year. His scoring might improve a little, but I reckon he's safe because he's durable. He's a safe selection. He's got high durability, and I like his role. Now, Jordan Ridley here. Why have I picked him? Simply because I reckon he's going to improve a bit. He's still fairly young, and he had a great start last season too. So hopefully he probably won't reach that same level, but hopefully he can become 2019, or was it 2020? Yeah, that's right, 2020. Hopefully he can improve from there. He might even get to at least 105. Hopefully, maybe even more. Jaden Short. Why have I picked him? Just simply because, look, I had a lawyer originally, and I didn't have Jaden Short throughout the whole time until now. Why? I'll talk about that in a minute. Slightly cheaper, and I reckon he might even increase in value. Jake Lloyd, I reckon he might even decline. Simply because Jaden Short's in a bit better age bracket. And there's a bit more competition at the Swans, even though Dawson's left. Just with Sydney, it's like he'll still score well, Lloyd. I'll probably bring him in. Might bring him in later in the season, and probably will. But there's not really much competition at Richmond, and in the back line with carrying the ball in and out. Jaden Short's a go-to man to do that sort of stuff. Lockie Whitfield, why have I picked him? Well, simply because he has that high potential to score. Obviously, his weaknesses is he gets injured a lot, which is why some people might be put off by him. And I was originally too, because I've had him before, and he's just inconsistent. He performs crap one game, performs really well the next game. He's had a few good seasons, but the last couple of seasons, it's a bit of a roller coaster. Like he performs well one week, or performs terrible for first half of the season, performs well for the second half of the season, like he did in 2020, which screwed up my season because I had him at the start and but this year, if he doesn't get injured, he'll be a great selection. But if he does, it's it's not going to be an easy situation to get out of. I don't reckon. I'll probably have to bring in Jake Lloyd for that if that happens. Yeah, but look, he's GWS's go-to man. He's probably the best player, to be honest. You could argue that with Josh Kelly, but Lockie Whitfield has an excellent work rate. He's very fit. He's very fit. And yeah, so that's why I've picked him. Still not a cent on him, but 502k. We'll have to take it. Justin McInerney. Now this one's a bit different. You'd think, oh, why haven't you gone with George Hewitt? I'm just picking. The reason it is because I just pick McInerney just simply because no one else is really picking him. Something different. I'm just fed up with everyone picking the same players. Like, you're not going to win if everyone's picking the same players, to be honest. So, look, it's not a stupid decision. A few other people have gone with him. I think he's at 6% of ownership. Like, it's a pod, but it's not a silly decision of like 2% and under. So, look, do I reckon this can pay off? Well, he's going to be playing some midfield time. And I reckon, there's more upside to it. Like, he's going to improve. Like, he's a young player. He could become just as good as Ridley. Hopefully he can maybe get 100 plus. Look, I reckon he will get at least 95. And for the time being, he's guaranteed to play. Just in case some of these rookies don't play at a given time or they're rested. McInerney can, I'll have that advantage over other people who don't have him, basically. 5 at the back, might be a bit, 5 almost premiums, 4 premiums or 1 almost premiums might be a bit too much, but I'll do it for safety net reasons. Paddy McCartan, now, why have I picked him? Well, because you don't really have much other options there. His job security is quite high for a rookie. He was not really a rookie, but he's a mature age. He's ready to play basically. And look, he'll hopefully go up to like 300 and 350k, make some money, which will be good for us, and hopefully we'll be able to bring in someone who's another premium with that. So yeah, Paddy McCartan, happy with him. I reckon that's great that he's back playing footy again, which will probably save a lot of money, which is great for Supercoach. He's really saved probably a lot of Supercoach's seasons, saved our season. As with the bench here, O'Driscoll, DeConning, look, I don't think O'Driscoll's going to play round 1. I was thinking, should I put him in? But I have him there just in case, because he could play round 2, 3, or 4. It could be used as a loophole, which, look, I want to be making money from the get-go, basically. We'll soon see with O'Driscoll. I'm not if he does play or not. But I'm almost guaranteed Sam DeConning will play. And if he doesn't, there might be a problem. But look, you should be fine with Sam DeConning. O'Driscoll will have to wait. Maybe a good one later on if there's an injury at Fremantle or if a couple of players are underperforming. Now straight onto the midfield here. We've got Jackson McRae. I think a lot of people have him. I can see why. He's an absolute. He's very consistent. Probably the most consistent players in Supercoach, which is why he's the most expensive. The downside is pretty much the price. He's probably a little bit expensive than what you want. Ideally, you probably want 650. But look, he's going to be the most consistent player. Basically, he really goes over under 100. But you can't really say that for anyone else. Which is the reason why you would select him, and he's probably one of the best VC options. Basically, so look, he's a lock. I can see why something might be pulled off by him if you have to drop down to maybe even a Steele or a Clary or a Miller, just to get some money elsewhere. I can see why some people might do that, but you're not. It's gonna be difficult to bring him into as well. Well, some of the other players you can bring in because their floor is a lot lower than what McRae is. McRae probably has the highest floor in the comp. Why have I gone next one? Jack Steele. Why have I gone with him? Like Jack McRae, he's fairly consistent. Last season, though, he had a mediocre start to the season, like St Kilda, but as once Steele got going, same with St Kilda, improved in the second half of the season. And almost had a glimpse at finals, but just missed out. Look, yeah, this could be a great selection. Steele, is a lock. It's a great option. Maybe a little bit expensive. It could probably even go down in price a little if he, performs well, performs poorly in a few games. I have a feeling he could. So look, you could pick him up later on. There's a slight chance he could go into 600k, but for the most part, he could get that 180, even 200 score type, I reckon. Next, Lachie Neale, another very popular selection. Why? Because his 2020 year was excellent. He won the Brownlow that year. I think he had an average was 130, 140, somewhere around that. And hopefully he can get close to that. I don't think he will get to the 140. Might not get 130, but 120 is a good shot at getting that. And that'd be great if he can. It means he'd be a premium and a keeper. Well, he sort of is a premium, but on a lower end. With a midfielder, you sort of want 550, 600k sort of the cutoff for the midfielders. So, yeah, Lachie Neale, yeah, absolute lock. Maybe there's a slight risk with injury, which is why some people can be pulled off by him. But yeah, Matt Rowell, why do I pick him? Simply because he performed well in the pre-season. Look, it convinced me over. And look, I was on the fence with him or Cripps since Sam Walsh got injured. And I just think, Rowell, is cheaper. And with Cripps, there's still a bit of risk over him as well with his injury. I know he performed well against Melbourne, but it seems like Cripps was... there's only one, Cripps I should say, is the only one who really tried for that match. And look, it's... Even though they beat Melbourne, it's a pre-season match. It's so I'm going to go with Matt Rowell. It's cheaper and there's more probably upside. You can get more value. He might not quite score as well as Cripps, but look, he could become a keeper, Matt Rowell. Cripps probably has a better chance of doing it, but Morel will make him more money. And he could become a keeper, Roar, and I actually reckon he has a good chance of being a keeper, particularly if there's a lot of injuries in the midfield. Jared Berry, now this guy, look, um, he's again another money-making machine. It was almost a lock. I was keen on this guy from the get-go on Berry, simply because he performed well in the pre-season and he's in good form because of that. Yeah. He also performed well during 2020, I believe. He got 97 average, so he hasn't reached near 100, hasn't gone over that 100 quite yet, which hopefully he will this season. Hopefully he can get to a 105, which is a bit, but if he can get up to 500, 550k, you can either probably almost keep him for most of the season, maybe trade one of your last few trades, you can get rid of him if need be. Jason Horne-Francis, look, almost everyone has him. Why? Because he's clearly mature, ready. He's ready to get and go for AFL. He's played against grown men. That's why I've picked him. Yeah, I guess that's just just a straight up lock. Look, you may have a few odd games, maybe you're getting a 60, but you should make your money. Hopefully get to 400k, 450. Nick Dacos, like Horne-Francis, is probably even a bigger lock. He's slightly cheaper. So if you're on the fence with these two, you probably go with Dacos. But yeah, look, both of them are in a crap side, so they're going to get game time anyway. They're going to spend some time in the midfield, particularly Dacos. I think Francis is going to be in the four line, because I know North Melbourne do have a few good midfielders with Anderson, Cunnington, and that coming in the side, and also you got Greenwood too. So there's a bit more competition there at North, even though they are a weak side. They got more contested ball winning midfielders in North Melbourne than what Collingwood do. That's the reason why Horne-Francis is probably not quite there as a lock as what Dacos is. Yeah, so both of them are guns. You should have both of them in your side. Josh Moore, now this one's more of a, not quite as a lock now he is, but I haven't really seen much of him until the pre-season game, and he performed really well, was probably one of the best players on the ground, well, for Hawthorn anyway, at least. Look, this guy's a lock. He may have a few games he gets below 80, which is what you get with rookies. Look, a lock, it's only one game, but we'll see how that goes. Should make you money anyway. There's plenty of other players like Dylan Stevens here, which might not be as good as a selection as well, but he's slightly cheaper. He's a good backup option, particularly if Stevens performs well in an earlier game, like he can gets an 80 or 100, something like that. You can just swap him with Ward. And look, Cooper Stevens and Connor McDonald. Basically, the reason why I'm picking them is simply because they're going to be playing most likely, so they can generate some money, and hopefully we trade them off to get a premium later on. They can just generate cash cows and again emergency selections just in case if any of these midfielders get injured for a few weeks. Now straight in the racks. Here we got Gawn and Grundy. Why have I gone with them? Simply because, look, they had a good pre-season. I do have slight concerns with Gawn a bit, with Luke Jackson, taking over a bit of the ruck time. But look, Gawn's one of those rare players who can score in multiple positions. He can go back and take intercept marks in defence. He can go down and take mark and kick a goal in the forward line like he did in the final round of last year and get Melbourne their minor premiership. So look, he's that sort of player. Not many players can do stuff like what he can. There is maybe a bit of concern, which is why I ended up swapping him over Darcy in the end. Look, Darcy could probably get more, but just the injury cloud with Darcy is a lot greater. Even though Gawn has had a lot of injury problems when he was younger, early in his career. But Brody Grundy, again, look, originally he was an absolute certain lock last couple of seasons, but this year, not quite as confident with Grundy. Look, he He'll still do well. I reckon he might even do better than last season, but I don't know if he can get to that elite level as what he was in 2020, 2019, 2018. Like, he still is elite, but not quite to that same standard, getting the 130 average. So, look, there's still a lock. Darcy can score better than both of these players, but like he did last year and caught everybody off by surprise. Like, he still was a decent ruckman, but he went to another level. Will we see that again from any other ruckman? We'll soon see. I reckon Marshall has a good chance of that happening. I'm surprised not many people are picking him. I can understand why, but if he was a forward, he'd be one of the best options out there, I reckon. Hugh Dixon picked him because he's 102k and he's a bit cheaper, and he could maybe even get if they try to risk Nick Naitanui. Nick Naitanui has a few injury concerns, and he has a terrible game time as well. One of the lowest I've seen for a player of his ability. It's pretty low. Which is the biggest problem with Nick Naitanui. Like, he's a great player and be an excellent selection if he just played more of the game time. So I guess that's the reason why I picked Dixon too. Yeah, there's a slight chance of playing as well. Look, he's 102k, so this frees up money elsewhere. The four line, this is sort of area where this is probably going to be the difference between doing well this season. I reckon the four line. There's more pods here or players that aren't quite as popular. So here we go. Here, I start off with Dunkley. Obviously, the most obvious lock on the four line, and probably the most obvious lock in Supercoach. We could argue with Nick Dacos, but yeah, Dunkley, absolute lock. For obvious reasons, clearly the best four line pick by mile, and it's reflected at the price point. Forward midfielder, he did get injured last season, so he really should be 650 because he was heading for around that price point. It was one of the best Supercoach players up until his injury. And like a few other players, like with Ridley as well, his injury affected his remaining games for the rest of the season. Didn't quite perform as well as what you wanted, but was good enough to play at a good level. So yeah, lock for Dunkley. Zach Butters. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this guy. Happy with his pre-season. There is a bit of risk with injury, like every other player here has a risk. Basically, yeah, Butters, look, he's going to be playing more midfield times, what being told. He performed well in the pre-season matches, yeah. Basically a lock, pretty much prefer him over Heaney. To be honest, there's more upside. Heaney's going to be playing the four line, I think, because I think he got Papley injured, so he'll be playing the four line more often. Or Zach Butters, he's going to take over with Boat getting older. A few of the other players getting older too at Port Adelaide, so Butters is the next generation. You can train him up with the midfield, be better for the Port Adelaide and Butters in the long term. Caniglio, it's pretty obvious. Again, another obvious selection. He's a forward midfielder too, which is another reason why people are picking him and why I am. Look, he reached over 100 multiple times. He's a gun player. He can be. His last couple of seasons has been disappointing from his standards. Hasn't been quite as professional. He had the last couple of years he'd rather forget, but hopefully this season he goes back to his best, and we saw that in the pre-season game. So it's very promising, which is what we want to see. I can see why he's one of the most popular selections, Caniglio, and yeah, he should be. Obvious pick. If you don't have him, what can I say? Will Brodie, now this is probably the pick in the four line where it's one that I'm not really as convinced on. Look, he had a good pre-season match against the Eagles, so I picked him based on that. And he's got a bit better role too. Didn't get much time at Gold Coast. Yeah, even though Gold Coast are a weak side, so look, he's be more loved at Freo by the looks of it, so he will get them more midfield minutes and timing and game selection is what we want. So yeah, Will Brodie is a bit of a risk. Some people maybe think he's a trap. Look, he'll make you some money if things don't go well. we've still got a few other players we could probably pick in that like Elijah Hollands and a few other players we could probably select as an option. But hopefully he goes up in price to 400k, hopefully, and then pick up a premium from there, or downgrade to a playing rookie. Tom Cherry, again, this one's a bit interesting here. Again, this is the one that I brought on within the last few weeks, simply because we've got news that he's going to be performing more ruck time due to Goldstein, getting older, and it makes sense for North Melbourne. They're a rebuilding side; they don't need Goldstein the ruck as much anymore. Sherry's going to take over more of the ruck, which is great for scoring, great for him. And he's also, in terms of Supercoach, he's a full line, so it's great for us. Hopefully he can be converted to a ruck option back when dual position status comes into play, and be another option here as a backup ruck selection as well. So that's another reason why I picked him as well. But look, he's played well in a pre-season match. He scored over 90, which is what you want. So look, he will go up in value. Wouldn't say quite a lot, but like a few of these players here, Will Brodie, Cherry, even Cagnilio has injury issues, so you just take him at that low price. Although injury's not really a problem with Sherry, I don't think. It just hasn't had the quite role as what we wanted. And Josh Rochelle, don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but yeah, full midfielder. Again, absolute outstanding pre-season game. No, you won't get that many goals every week, but yeah, look, this guy is an absolute lock. I'm happy with the pre-season. Just, lock. A lot of upside to him. Maybe a bit expensive for a rookie, but it's well worth it. Trust me. Nicky Martin. Was it Nick Martin? Yeah, this guy performed well, alright in the pre-season match. And he may even get selected due to Harry Jones is going to be out. So, look, that's a great opportunity for him and Baldwin. I picked him over Baldwin simply because it's cheaper, and I was able to bring a few other players in that I needed to, and just saves that extra money to free up, just in case a few of these other players don't get selected for round 1, or even in rounds 2 and 3. So yeah, Nicky Martin's cheap. Hopefully he can get a few games in and bring up some money. Jack Hayes, again, this is another good selection. Why? Because he's a forward ruckman, so you can swap him out with Hugh Dixon if there's an emergency, with even Max Scorn or Grundy, and Hugh Dixon isn't playing, and he has a bit better job security than Hugh Dixon as well. So keep that in mind too. And look, he could probably be a good selection here as well. So look, Nick Martin or Jack Haynes, they're cheap as well, which is why I went with them. Overall, I'm happy with my team. Look, I would like to have Tuke Miller in my team. I just couldn't fit him in. I reckon it's more important in trying to make money in the earlier rounds and going with a lot of premiums. I know with trades it could be a bit of an issue, but if you can make a lot of money, it'd be well worth it in the long term. What are your thoughts on my team? Is it silly to pick a few players like Justin McInerney? I just want to go something different. Either way, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more content.